Support comes from Soul Food Cipher, a community-driven freestyle rap experience and educational platform. Visit soulfoodcipher.com to learn about their live ciphers, workshops, and performances across Atlanta and beyond. Join the movement and step into the circle.
Welcome to the ATL Arts Collective, powered by ArtsATL. If you're curious about the people making Atlanta a more creative, interesting, and joyful city, you are in the right place. I'm Kim Drobes. Thank you for joining us. Each week, we feature reporting from ArtsATL writers, interviews with artists and cultural leaders, and a different featured contributor. And today, we get to welcome the host of the Fresh JUGO podcast, Julián González-Díaz. Julián, I'm so happy you're here.
Hey, Kim. Thank you. I'm very excited to speak, and thank you for inviting me on your show.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. And we're going to get to know Julián a little better later in the show. Plus, he's going to be sharing a story with us. Recently, he sat down with Atlanta artist Lucy Luckovich, and we're going to hear their conversation about her upcoming solo exhibition at Wolfgang Gallery. Plus, on the way today, we'll hear about This Is Somewhere, on view now at Akazi ATL. ArtsATL executive editor Shane Harrison will stop by with his best bets for the weekend. And we'll learn about a new collaboration between Memento and Alday Hunken Gallery. But first, a deep dive into the world of stop-motion animation is currently on view at the Center for Puppetry Arts. The exhibition features puppets and production elements from legendary works such as Fantastic Mr. Fox, one of my absolute favorites, Corpse Bride, another favorite, SpongeBob, and so much more. ATL Arts Collective contributor Wesley Boudelier recently went to the center to learn more about Frame by Frame, the art of stop-motion animation.
The Center for Puppetry Arts is home to the world's largest collection of Jim Henson puppets, as well as a global collection that explores the storied history of puppetry. Within that global collection, you'll find a case dedicated to the art of stop-motion animation. And for the next few months, stop-motion characters from some of your favorite movies and shows are taking center stage. Jill Nash-Malul, the museum director at the Center for Puppetry Arts, explains that they've been working on the frame-by-frame exhibition for over a year.
We were going to just do a normal retrospective historical overview of stop-motion, and as I was starting to do research and got connected with our co-curator, Emily D. Myers, who is a stop-motion animation professor at SCAD, it really started to resonate with me that we really should be showing what's going on in the field right now. So we're really focused in the exhibit on roughly the last 30 years in the animation industry. And we do have some prologue and some history because we want to make sure people understand what they're looking at. But we really wanted to show what's going on right now, especially in this time when people are really experimenting with different ways of creating things with computers and things, and this is very much a tactile, hands-on art form that's really beautiful and patient and painstaking, and it's really wonderful to be able to celebrate that.
The exhibition is overflowing with beautifully crafted pieces, and Malul explained that co-curator Emily Myers was instrumental in the curation process.
It was really her guidance that helped me figure out which things should go into the show, and she would be like, what about this? And I would say, oh my God, that's beautiful, we need to talk to that person. And to the point where maybe my collections manager, Micah, who was wonderful and did such an amazing job with all the loans that we had to do, maybe got driven a little bit crazy with me maybe selecting too many things, but it was really just, there's so much wonderful things that went into this show, and when you have stop motion figures, there's all kinds of wonderful scale, but so many of them are small, so it was easy to say, oh, we can fit that in, oh, we can fit that in.
Once these stop motion puppets were chosen and arrived at their new temporary home, they had to be posed and manipulated before going on display. These characters were a bit more challenging than the rod puppets and marionettes in other exhibitions.
The folks from Screen Novelties actually came and helped us pose their puppets. Emily did a lot of posing of the puppets as well. And for some of the historical artifacts where we had things on loan from archives where she wasn't allowed to do the touching and I had to do that. She just stood there with me and very patiently was like, okay, do this. Okay, now do that. As the armature underneath is what moves the puppet, there's so many pieces and parts that you can style when you are posing these puppets that it took quite a bit more time than it does when we're doing all the other posing for the other exhibits.
Malul is candid about her affection for this exhibition and explains that although she went into the process excited about her favorite stories and their characters, her passion has evolved to appreciate all of the pieces equally.
I love all of these pieces, and I'm so proud of this whole exhibition. When we first started, my first favorite thing that I was choosing off of lists were the figures from Fantastic Mr. Fox, but now I've really come to grow and love everything, so I don't feel like I have a favorite anymore. We really have some really amazing objects, from James and the Giant Peach all the way up to things that were filmed just within the last year or two.
Frame by Frame, the art of stop-motion animation, is on view at the Center for Puppetry Arts through November 1st. For the ATL Arts Collective, I'm Wesley Boudelier.
It's time now to get to know our featured contributor. Not only is Julián González-Díaz the host of the Fresh JUGO podcast, where he amplifies Atlanta artists, but he's also an artist himself. The podcast premiered in May, and I'm curious, Julián, what inspired you to start the podcast?
Hey, Kim. So like you mentioned, I'm an artist myself. I would consider myself a painter. I'm self-taught. I've used oil paints. Do a lot of portraits and still lifes. I kind of focus on my Mexican heritage and kind of living in the U.S. South, and kind of like the mix of cultures that is, right? So I have I would say about 5 to 6 years being a part of the Atlanta art scene here, and I've met so many cool artists, and I've made so many friends here, and I feel like I'm always open to learning and hearing about other people's experiences, especially from other creatives. So I kind of got the idea for the podcast, Fresh JUGO, when I was listening to more celebrity talk shows, right? Listening to more musicians that I enjoy, or even actors. And I always kind of have this in the back of my head where I'm like, why aren't visual artists treated the same way? Whether they be painters, photographers, or sculpturists. And I'm sure there's other platforms, but especially not like highlighting people in the way that I want to see, because like I said, I've made so many friends with artists, and I love asking them questions about themselves and their work. And it really helps me understand their studio practice, And I know obviously that's not accessible for everybody to be asking just, someone they're a fan of. So I figured, hey, why don't I just do it? And I've just been talking to creatives here in Atlanta and recording it and just putting it out.
That's fantastic. And it's got a really nice casual nature to the podcast. It's just you and one artist having a very genuine conversation. One thing that I noticed is that you are at a different location every time. You tend to go to the artist studio when possible. Does that create any production challenges?
No, not at all. I think it's part of the charm. So first, the real answer to that is I don't have a studio space, so I can't bring someone to record somewhere. But the upside of talking to artists and creatives is a lot of them do have their own studio space. So people I've been speaking to have been so gracious enough to let me into their space. Me and my producer, Marcos Alvarez, also the creative FLND Studios. So it's been me and him. And we have a very mobile setup, for the most part. We have 2 chairs. We have our cameras, mics, lights, and us. So
that's great.
Yeah, so we've just been kind of moving into people's studios for a little bit to record and have a cool conversation. And yeah, it's been very fun. It's been working out pretty well, and it makes for cool backdrops.
It really does. So what is your relationship with Atlanta? Were you born here?
No, actually, I was born in Chicago, South Side. But my family moved to Lawrenceville up in Gwinnett County when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So I lived there and then eventually moved up to Gainesville, like around middle school. So So yeah, I've been in Georgia. I would consider myself a Southern boy, right? But I've really been coming more actively to Atlanta since about, I want to say like the end of 2020, early 2021, right after I got out of high school. That's when I really started putting myself out as an artist and started exhibitioning work and even having shows. So yeah, that's what my connection to Atlanta would be.
Oh my gosh, you're so young. I didn't realize how quite young you were. You said you graduated high school
In
during the
2020.
pandemic?
Yes, pandemic year. Yeah.
What was that like?
I think it was May, April when it first started, like the COVID really outbreak going on. And then at first it was like, hey, you guys, we're taking a week off, and it was cool. And then it was like, hey, actually a month, and hey, it's the rest of the year. And then it was just kind of like dark and scary for a bit, you know?
That's got to be a hard transition, though, to be immediately within a world crisis when you're supposed to be starting your adult life. What did you do right after high school?
But right after I graduated, I immediately started working. I worked at a poultry plant up in Gainesville, poultry capital of the world, if you didn't know.
I didn't. Good to know.
And then at the same time, I started taking part-time classes, and I was working and taking part-time classes up at Lanier Tech. I was studying business and administration, along with painting on top of that.
We've talked before, you and I, about how special the Atlanta art scene is. Would you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I think just in general, the U.S. South is so unique in a way where I feel like there's like compared to places like New York or California, right? I feel like there's so much here and so much culture, so much history, and so much art comes out of that, you know, whether you look at music or even just like the painters or photographers. And for some reason, you know, it's just, at least from my perspective, it's not as highlighted as some of these other places.
For sure.
But I think Atlanta has been more and more on the map, kind of growing in the visual arts scene. And like you'll see like, New York galleries or Chicago galleries, they start, inviting these Atlanta artists out for their own shows. And that's great. It's amazing to see. But I think there just needs to be more eyes on Atlanta and just in general, the South. I feel like it gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah. So you said you met many of your best friends at art openings. Do you remember going to your first one and what it felt like?
I want to say the first show I exhibited in, I want to say was Nuestra Creación. That was at Echo Contemporary. That was a Latino gallery exhibition that was hosted by Patti Hernandez, right? So shout out Patti and shout out Nuestra Creación. But yeah, that was my first show, and I just like seeing all the people there and seeing the people, being so supportive of each other and just enjoying the work, It's been very nice.
That's wonderful. Well, Julian's interview with painter Lucy Luckovich is coming up shortly, but right now, let's take a look at a photography exhibition that opened at Akazi ATL on Juneteenth. This is Somewhere aims to capture the soul of two iconic southern cities, Atlanta and New Orleans. ArtsATL reporter Jazzy Joyner attended the show's opening and has the story.
The exhibition showcases work from Craig Liu of This Is Somewhere YouTube fame and Atlanta-based photographer Iman Sabunya. Akazi curator Anya Sabunya, who happens to be Iman's mother, explained that their gallery usually features work from the diaspora, but with all eyes on Atlanta right now, they thought it was a good time to turn their attention towards their home city.
Typically, Akazi shows work from the African continent and its diaspora. So we decided, because of the World Cup and Atlanta being the focus of so many things right now, to turn the gaze inwards, to celebrate the city that we all live in and love, and also to highlight this other iconic city from the South, New Orleans.
Anya Sabunya went on to explain the strong family ties that bond this particular Akazi show.
This time it's an uber family affair because we're showcasing our daughter's work, and that's Iman Sabunya, who's the love letter to New Orleans, and our soon-to-be son-in-law, Craig Lu, who is this YouTube personality now, and we're showing his still works of Atlanta.
Lou, already known for his landscape and cityscape photography, highlights his globes or drone shots in This Is Somewhere.
I always wanted to be a pilot when I was growing up, and I think that calling had passed me by. I ended up being a software engineer, but I was always tied to like aviation somehow. And when drones came out, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can get my, my aviation fix. And then I started taking pictures, and then with my software engineering background, I was looking into different programs and figured out how you can manipulate and bend images into, what you want to create. So I figured out how to make these globes, and it just helped me captivate the place where I was at the time. Like, it helps me show everything.
Lou said his YouTube page, This Is Somewhere, helped inspire his work in the exhibition. His channel focuses on his travel adventures that span the globe.
I always strived to, create what I watched, and what I wanted to, produce was a show that made people feel like they were traveling with me, because I know a lot of people don't get the chance to travel, but I wanted to make them feel like they were right there with me.
This is Iman Sabunya's first show in Atlanta, but its main focus is New Orleans.
My show is really focused on looking at the Black masking Indians and also looking at the Second Line and the social aid and pleasure clubs there. And it's special that it's happening on Juneteenth too, because it's very much about Black resistance and joy and community and kind of coming together and the beauty that is Black American culture here.
During the Juneteenth weekend opening, music from both New Orleans and Atlanta filled the room alongside lots of chatter, laughter, and joy. Jumbe Sabunya, the other half of Akazi's curatorial duo, shares his thoughts on the show and how special it is.
Our daughter was in New Orleans for about 7 years, and she's a great photographer. So we really were pleased to see some of the selections she made to show some of the visitors on some of the work she has been carrying out in New Orleans. And then her husband-to-be is a great photographer, so combining both of them, we thought we should show Atlanta to the outside world of what Atlanta is, and another big city within the South, which is New Orleans, and that has been one of our greatest pleasure to visit and to be able to show it to the others.
This Is Somewhere is on view until August 2nd at Akazi ATL in the historical Hagabrooks on Auburn Avenue. For the ATL Arts Collective, I'm Jazzy Joyner.
You can read Jazzy's full story on ArtsATL.org. Our featured contributor today is the host of the Fresh JUGO podcast, Julián González-Díaz, and he's brought his recent conversation with Atlanta artist Luckovich with him. So, Julián, before we play the piece, would you tell us a little bit about Lucy's work?
Yeah, of course. So Lucy is a painter from Atlanta. She does more contemporary work. A lot of her work I would describe as still lives, but not in the traditional sense. If anything, they have kind of, I would describe as a surreal feel to them. Like, she divides the foreground to the background and gives it a really unique feeling, I would say. So a lot of her, with the foreground at least, she does a lot of jewelry, whether it be pearls or chains. And in the background, she kind of just does whatever she likes. A lot of it are almost self-portraits, maybe kind of even like abstracted self-portraits or different patterns. And I would say a lot of her work just kind of goes into her experiences as a woman, like expressing her femininity and kind of going into desires, whether it be inwardly or outwardly. And it really gives her work a very intimate feel when you go into them, kind of when you're standing in front of them. And I, honestly, other than a friend, I'm a very big fan.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, here is Julián González-Díaz's conversation with artist Lucy Luckovich about her new exhibition, Dolly, opening at Wolfgang Gallery on July 17th.
I'm Julián.
I'm here sitting with the talented Lucy Luckovich.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm a painter from Atlanta.
So you just got your MFA up in Rhode Island at RISD.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Yes. Yeah, it was great. It was a 2-year program. It was a lot of dedicated studio time, a lot of great professors. Yeah, I think it changed my life.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How long were you studying there for?
Just 2 years.
Just 2 years?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And what did you major in?
It was painting.
It was painting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
It was great.
And now, what's it called? So now that you have that, how do you think, being there for 2 years studying, how that's affected in your studio practice? Like, how has it made it, like, evolve?
Yeah, it's definitely given me permission to kind of work in sort of a more intuitive way and to sort of follow, like, my own leads more. I mean, having kind of like this incubation period where I was less affected by the market and kind of by like the only opinions that I was exposed to every day were my peers and my professors. So I definitely, I would say like permission was the biggest thing that I took away from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Within your studio practice now, like, I know I've seen some of your work more recently, right?
Yeah.
Has any of the themes or even like sort of like the visuals or the way you like, I guess you approach it now, has that changed over time now as well?
Definitely. Yeah, it's changed dramatically. I mean, it's hard to summarize it. You've seen some of the work, so you have an idea. Like, I've expanded more into portraiture. I would say I've also expanded more into textures. Like, I've still definitely maintained an interest in depicting what I like to think of as still life painting.
Yes.
But I think it's the visual language has broadened a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, now you're back in Atlanta.
Yes.
Right? So how's that? How's that been?
It's great. I mean, I'm going back and forth, but I love Atlanta and I'll always be connected to it and coming back here. You know, my family's here. My friends are here.
Yeah.
You know, I went to undergrad at Georgia State and that was like extremely transformative as well. So yeah, Atlanta's always going to be like my home.
That's great.
For sure. Yeah.
And then upcoming right now at Wolfgang Gallery, you have your solo exhibition, Dolly, opening July 17th. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So that work, I believe there's around 15 paintings that will be in the show. That work has been kind of the last year of my MFA program has produced this body of work, and it's very much concerning ideas about desire and what that means to me in a myriad of different ways, you know, whether it be, you know, desire of things that I want, things I want to consume, ways I want to look, ways I want to feel, but also kind of trying to look at desire through like a third person perspective and think about how it's impacted or preyed upon by forces sort of greater than myself. So I've kind of taken that idea and worked with that to produce images that feel based on that sentiment. Yeah.
Interesting. So I got a little peek while I was at the gallery the other day. I saw it was a mix of painting and some illustrations. Actually.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that? I don't think I've seen your illustrative work before.
Yeah, that was interesting. Like, for me, my painting practice has always been really separate from my drawing practice. You know, the way that I kind of like brainstorm painting is much more, I would say, related to collage it becomes intuitive while I'm painting, the choices that I make. Whereas with drawing, that's always been, just something that I've never used to lead into the paintings, but I nevertheless, I really enjoy it. So I was like, I really wanted to create finished kind of like complete drawings and explore what that looked like for me within my practice. And it became very much collage.
Okay.
So for all of the drawings that will be included in the exhibition, they were all made within the same process of sort of gathering imagery, found imagery, from advertising, a lot of AI generated imagery, that I discovered on sites like Reddit.
Okay.
And sort of used those as bases for these weird kind of surreal figurative drawings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And then another thing with the title Dolly.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
Yeah. It is in lineage with past exhibitions that I've done, that have been focused on the book Lolita.
Okay.
I can't seem to shake that novel from my periphery, when thinking about desire. Like, of course, that text is related and is such like a cultural touchstone. And I think within all of our, within the collective conscious, it really resides there. So I was thinking about that book, and in the book, the main character, Dolores Hayes, her nickname is Lolita. Another one of her nicknames is Dolly. Also, the last year, while making this body of work, I've been learning Spanish.
Okay.
And I thought it was interesting that this word, this name Dolores, also equates to the translation pains. And how there's something interesting with like Lolita, with the character that she embodies, her name Dolores, also meaning pain, and what that symbolically insinuates. I was also thinking about a lot of the portraiture that I've made, or the figurative work I've made. I'm sort of exercising a lot of, I would say, power over the figures or the characters that I'm creating. That reminded me also of like, me using them sort of like dolls, playing with them. Also, I'm thinking quite a bit about technology and its impact on our desires. So another thing that I had in mind, or that I learned that just felt perfect and tied everything together, was that, I think it was in the 90s that there was the first like cloned animal. It was a sheep. And they created her from a mammary gland cell of another sheep.
Okay.
And they named her Dolly. And when the scientists behind this, amazing scientific discovery, were asked why they named her Dolly, they said, well, she came from a mammary gland. Who has the best memories, Dolly Parton. And which is funny, but it's also, like interesting that there's this, objectification of women that also like found its way in there. So all of that together, just the word Dolly, Dolores, Dolly, it was just in my mind.
Okay.
And I felt that was the word that made sense for the show. Yeah.
Awesome. Really deep, really a lot of sources.
Yeah.
But
it touched a lot of things. Yeah.
But that's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see the show upcoming right now. Yeah. The show run Dolly at Wolfgang Galleries, running from opening July 17th and running till mid-August.
Yeah.
So if you're in town, if you're able to stop by, come and see Lucy's show.
Come on by.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
That was our featured contributor today, Julián González-Díaz, speaking with Atlanta artist Lucy Luckovich. We'll be back in just a moment.
Support comes from Mainline Magazine, announcing its weekend-long independent music festival from September 11th to 13th. The independently curated 3-day event features 22 live acts performing in multiple venues spanning Little Five Points, Summerhill, and Decatur. Headliners include CDSM, Scatterbrain, Janie Danger, Mulus, Jonna Camille, Major, and more. Early tickets and more information are at mainlineatl.com/tickets.
Welcome back to the ATL Arts Collective. I'm Kim Drobes. It's time now for ArtsATL's Best Bets with executive editor Shane Harrison. This week, his mix includes the Atlanta Micro Short Film Festival, several concerts, and a new off-the-wall film screening projected onto the Beltline 725 building.
As Atlanta approaches its final World Cup matchup on July 15th next week, the city is still showcasing its arts, culture, and entertainment downtown, but there's still plenty to do in other parts of town. Over at Shakespeare Tavern, they're staging one of the Bard's most approachable works. A fairy king and queen come across 4 runaway lovers and a gaggle of amateur actors trying to rehearse a play in the forest in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Catch it at Shakespeare Tavern July 11th through August 2nd. In Little Five Points, 7 Stages plays host to the Atlanta Micro Short Film Festival. The festival highlights films that are 6 minutes or shorter. On July 11th, the festival screened more than 100 short films. In a single afternoon and evening, you'll experience comedy, horror, animation, documentaries, experimental work, and films unlike anything you've seen before. If one film isn't your thing, another begins a few minutes later. You can also meet filmmakers from around the world, connect with Atlanta's creative community at the Fest networking mixers, and stick around for the late-night after-party at Elmere. While the arts take a bit of a breather during the hottest part of the summer, concerts definitely don't. On Thursday, July 9th, Ariana Grande is at State Farm Arena, Santana plays the Amerisbank Amphitheater in Alpharetta, Patty Austin is at City Winery, and Amy Ray plays the first of 2 nights at Eddie's Attic in Decatur. On Friday, July 10th and Saturday, July 11th, you can see Jill Scott at the Fox Theater. Also on July 11th, catch Neo and Akon at Lakewood Amphitheater, Train at Amerisbank Amphitheater, and the first of 2 Tame Impala shows at State Farm Arena. And on Monday, June 13th, Paul Simon takes the stage at Synovus Bank Amphitheater at Chastain Park. Because Atlanta is still in the midst of the World Cup, there are a couple of film screenings this weekend that will give you a little bit of football history. Off the Wall at 725 Ponce is best known for its series of experimental film and video art projected onto 5 stories on the face of the East Side Trail's 725 Ponce building on the Beltline. They're doing something a little different this weekend. On Friday, July 10th, they'll be screening the 2006 documentary Zidane, a 21st century portrait, which tells the story of one of the greatest footballers of all time, France's Zinedine Zidane. Then, on Saturday, July 11th, they'll show the World Cup matchup between the winners of matches 95 and 96, which takes place in Kansas City. In the late 60s, Clyde Best became the first black football superstar of the modern TV era, changing the game in England and beyond. Transforming the Beautiful Game, The Clyde Best Story, is a documentary recounting his career, which began at East London's West Ham United, through rare archival footage, first-hand testimony, and a global perspective spanning England, Bermuda, and North America. The film captures the courage of a pioneer who shattered ceilings and opened doors for generations that followed. See it at the Loudermilk Conference Center in the Sweet Auburn District on July 13th and 14th. For the ATL Arts Collective and ArtsATL, I'm Shane Harrison.
Shane curates an even longer list each week, and you can read all about his picks at artsatl.org. Our featured contributor today is Julián González-Díaz of the Fresh JUGO podcast. Hello again, Julián.
Hey, Kim.
So now that you've been coming to Atlanta on a much more frequent basis, where do you normally go when you're looking for a taste of the arts?
I definitely, a lot of the shows I go to are at Swan Coach House Gallery. I feel like they put up a good show. Very tiny space, but I feel like that's part of the charm, right?
Right.
Wolfgang Gallery has been very fun. I feel like they really put out just different exhibitions, I would say, more contemporary work, and just like really let the artists they exhibit try something new, you know?
I love that.
So those are my two, I would say my favorite galleries I like going to. And then when it comes to like music, I would say my favorite venues to go to are Terminal West. They have real, like, I feel like you can catch a good artist on the come up at Terminal West, and you can stand like 2 feet in front of them from the stage.
Totally.
So that's good. Or even the Earl. I like the Earl a lot. A lot of indie artists go up in there. Very fun shows, very intimate. I would say those are my two favorite music venues in Atlanta.
Oh, those are great choices. Wonderful choices. All right. Thank you. Now we're going to pivot and go to a recent collaboration in our city's visual art scene. So 2 local Atlanta galleries, Memento and Alday Hunken, are partnering to share a physical space and a curatorial vision. Their first exhibition, Held Traces, took place at Memento Gallery last month, and ArtsATL reporter Matali Singh has more.
Memento Gallery is located in the Ponce Highland area, while Alday Hunken Gallery is a cross-city project between Atlanta and New Mexico. Owners Madison Daly and Alfonso Alday Bergera had previously worked together informally in many ways at art fairs and exhibitions. They said that their partnership was a long time coming.
I think like the way we approach curation really like complements each other, because Madison has an incredible aesthetic eye. Like I don't have that talent. Like the way I approach curation is more like I like to try and create like a journey of catharsis for our audience. I approach like curation a little bit more lyrically, I guess. And I think like that is what also led us very naturally to saying, okay, let's do this like collaboration. We are not just saying to the left is Memento, to the right is Alday Hunken, but rather we're executing a curatorial model where we're just saying we're going to curate together every show. So it's not just like a sharing space approach. It's actually like a sharing curatorial vision approach, which I think it's novel in Atlanta at least.
And there's also something so interesting about just the mix of Atlanta with Mexico City, or, the American South with Latin America. I mean, just the combination there, because for so long, there's been these like gatekeepers of these art institutions. And I feel like the art world is really being like decentralized. And Atlanta, Mexico City are some of those major leaders right now. And just like a broader contextual aspect of, migration and movement and reinvention. I think that the timing is so critical for this. And I'm just so excited to see the artists that we can bring together and the networks that we can bring together.
This partnership also comes out of a greater need for smaller galleries to adapt to new models. Daly says that the urgency for alternative models increased after the pandemic. Compared to more established galleries, smaller galleries face challenges with finances and resources, from the costs and aftermath of participating in art fairs to the costs of owning a physical space in the city.
It's been a hard time for the art industry as a whole. And if you're not adapting to, these kind of like new models or trying to figure out how to collaborate and co-curate, then I don't know how galleries are going to be able to be like sustainable.
Among others, one model that inspired them was New York City's U-Haul Gallery, which was created in May 2024 to combat the costs of a physical space in the city.
And then there's also galleries that are just basically renting the space for a month. They're saying, hey, we cannot just like have a continuous space, so we're just going to basically have a show and rent the space for the duration of the show.
Their first show together, Held Traces, featured two artists, African-American artist Gabriel Choto and Mexican artist Paula Cortazar. Each artist interpreted the show's title in different ways. Choto's paintings interpret traces of time through a more personal exploration of memory, family, and diasporic identity. Cortazar's sculptures explore its physical effects, like traces of erosion and weathering on the material itself.
With Gabriel Choto, I mean, he's talking about diaspora, being relocated, and what that sense of identity means for you. So that's why a lot of his work is about him. And then, there's similarities with also what's going on in Mexico right now and in Mexico City and, immigration. And I just think that a lot of her work, too, is about place and time.
Cortazar sources stones from mountains and then sands, carves, molds, and shapes them into parts to reflect the memory and sensation of a particular scene in nature. A characteristic feature in Choto's work is his partially rendered figures. Some body parts are left as outlined, while others are filled in. The resulting negative space really opens up the work for the viewer to fill in on their own. What was beautiful at the gallery was the way stories emerged naturally from every corner, shaped by frames both real and imagined. They were created in the space through certain serendipitous angles a viewer might find themselves in while viewing a work, through windows forming second frames, and then through the inviting ambiguity of one artist's figures and another's elemental sculptures. For the ATL Arts Collective, I'm Mitali Singh.
You can read Mitali's full story on artsatl.org. Well, we have reached the end for today, but before we go, a big thank you to our featured contributor this week, Julián González-Díaz.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed my time speaking here. Thank you again for inviting me.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. And full disclosure, you invited me to be on your show, and that will be released tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're releasing a conversation between me and you fully on Fresh JUGO tomorrow.
Good stuff. And you were an excellent interviewer. You were able to ask questions that made me feel vulnerable, but I still wanted to answer them. And I think that is a beautiful talent.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Well, thank you again, Julián. And thank you for listening to the ATL Arts Collective. You can join us on social at ArtsAtlanta, as well as at ATL Arts Collective. And if you'd like to buy the podcast a cup of coffee, visit our support page at atlartscollective.com. Stay with us. I'll be right back with a look at what's coming up next week.
Support comes from our fellow local journalists.
Hey y'all, I'm Naja Parker, co-host of the It's You ATL podcast, powered by the AJC.
Hey y'all.
Hello.
Ooh, twins.
Where we break down the stories, trends, and conversations shaping Black culture in Atlanta and across the South. From music and entertainment to politics, relationships, and community issues, if it's happening in the culture, we're talking about it. Listen to It's You ATL wherever you get your podcast.
Welcome back. While you're listening right now, please subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps other people find the show. Our theme music is K. Michelle Dubois' Hit the Deck from her album Astral Heart, courtesy of Wicked Superb Records. Next week on the show, Rough Draft Summer Evans returns with a story about the new peach trees on Peachtree Street. Plus, it's the 30th anniversary of the 96 Atlanta Olympics, and we'll hear the story of Izzy, the polarizing Olympic mascot that had our city in constant debate. The ATL Arts Collective is part of the Wordplay Collective podcast family. Check out our sister show, In Pieces with Our Land, for conversations with the artist Our Land. Thanks again for listening. I'm Kim Drobes, and this is the ATL Arts Collective.